industriel, français, Sénat, terrestre. Puissance, justice, histoire, droit. Passé, République des Sémons. Des empereurs, des régiments, laisse-moi kill. Des peuples. Assez!
I told the doctor that the young boy shouldn't be here. He's a sensitive child. He's being killed in this hospital. The boy said to me, after you've seen the doctor, you can take us back to Helen Glen. This beautiful countryside there.
The story response data forms I mentioned are provided in your focus team packs. Thanks again for committing time, guys, to the focus group. I'm sure you'll agree we've chosen a beautiful location. And I don't know about you, but I'm seeing it as a holiday, which is quite appropriate for a travel company campaign. So, to recap, the campaign to advertise a new US City Breaks package is based on a story about an English musician called Bill visiting 1930s New York. It's by a writer called Malcolm Lowry, who later wrote Under the Volcano, the novel he's most famous for. Dazzling writing, wrenched out of his own existential pain and alcoholism. To write Bill's story, Lowry claims that he actually checked into a psychiatric hospital when he was in New York in the 1930s in order to do the research. But it's also likely that he was there because he really needed the help of the doctors. So if people know a bit about Lowry, it adds to the effect, the kind of hallucinations Bill is having. Newspaper headlines of the time. Bill wakes up and looks around, feeling that he is encompassing in his stare oceans from which might be revealed that phantom destroyer of himself. Eventually, he realizes he is in a kind of hospital. And with this realization, everything becomes coherent and falls into place. Bill, is it? You've certainly got the shakes.
Doctor, shakes. What's wrong with me, Doctor?
Alcohol, and perhaps other things. And judging from your remarks while you were asleep, I'd say it was as bad as you suspect.
Well, what did I say? Oh, God. Oh, Christ, Jesus.
Who are the 6 Cantabs?
Bill Plantagenet and his 7 hot Cantabs. We were a great little jazz band back in Cambridge. We got on a ship to New York. But when we got over here, we just broke up. But I've been playing in dives. This hands, you know. They're not big enough for a real pianist. Can't stretch over an octave. No, back in England, I was in love with America. You know, you Americans, you get sentimental from time to time over England. Oh, you guff about Swedish Shakespeare. Oh, Capability Brown. But with me, it was the other way around. Only it was Giovannutti and Eddie Lang and the death of Bix.
Bix? Death by alcohol.
And I wanted to see Melville's house.
I'll send you a paraldehyde and splash. Perhaps it was your heart you couldn't make stretch an octave. Now, it seems you can't stay in this hospital because you're a foreigner. Unless, of course, you pay. I've arranged for you to stay up until now, but you're going to have to leave this evening. It's a pity. I'd like to help you out if I could. You're an interesting case. It surely was a funny way to see America.
No, please don't go!
And I am only a drunk, he thinks to himself. Though he often liked to pretend that he was not, that he was mad, with the full dignity of madness. We call it high-concept brand revisioning. It's a risky attempt to evoke and to critique the desire of the travel consumer for transgressive product content and for more narrativized campaigns. Let's break there.
Heat haze hangs over the New York waterfront like the Great Depression itself. My ideal dream of the city, bright with the hopes that I had for it, rises up from the East River and crystallizes there for an instant. The city is glittering, illuminated by a celestial brilliance. But at the same moment, it is reclaimed by darkness, by the pandemonium of the whole mechanic calamity of Gotham, with the screaming of suicides, of girls tortured in hotels, through all of which 1,000 ambulances are screeching like trumpets. And amidst it all, the tactile conscience, the lonely soul falling featherless into the abyss.
Jenny, I was thinking about what you were saying earlier on. You know, so the audience need to know the backstory before they even see the end, right? Are you going to shoot it in New York, by the way?
Yes, probably.
So the idea is to use the story to ironically play with cliches of America as exciting but a bit mad. Is that it?
Well, that's a good analysis. But we want it to be a bit more complicated. Let me explain it again. The musician Bill. He's pushing himself to the limits of experience on his alcoholic benders. A pathological artist, embracing mental illness as the archetypal modern condition, the only antidote to an insane world. And we've got the whirlwind of New York in the 1930s, a city forging the new modern world from the wreckage of old Europe and Africa. Then beyond that, the pathological nations of the time, a world collapsing into lunacy and war. And in the middle of the crescendo is Bill's existential agony, the lone human soul, its scream buried in the raging torrent.
Once, there were ships full of fools that sailed freely over the open seas.
Petey, I'd like to help you out if I could. You're an interesting case. Surely was a funny way
The
to see
ships that were full of fools
help you out if I could. You're an interesting
are now moored,
Surely was a funny way to see America.
set in concrete, made fast amongst us. They're no longer ships, but hospitals. And we like to think that madness is contained there.
So, yeah, apparently most focus groups are run by neutral agencies, as in, nothing to do with the advertisers or the clients. But this one is the advertisers themselves doing it. She said it's so that they can do justice to the ideas.
Right. I mean, the background to the advert's impressive, isn't it? It's an unusual angle. It's obviously well researched. I just have a problem with the 20th century madness thing, Because madness in this case is supposed to represent freedom, and if it does, the people want to be that free, even as an aspiration. I thought we were less romantic about insanity these days and more realistic about package holidays.
People have mentioned some of the attitudes to mental illness that were current during the 60s, like R.D. Lang, people being sent on journeys into their insanity so that they could return with wisdom. I mean, that all sounds good as long as you know what the wisdom is that you're looking for.
Oh, yeah. As long as you're going to get a return ticket.
Yeah, do you think people are going to be truly comfortable with the idea of actors acting mental disability on an advertisement? Nah.
The world must justify itself before madness, not the other way around.
I've seen the film she was talking about, with actors acting normal people who then acted mentally ill people. But from what I gather, the advert they're going to make is going to have real mentally disabled, mentally challenged people who've been themselves. So she says. I think that's what she said, didn't she? Huh?
That's great. You've made some relevant and useful points. I'd like to ask you all some individual questions, if I may. Paul, focus groups. Discuss. Have you been in many before?
I don't know, just Emmerson, two before.
Surely it was a funny way to see America.
And as I told them how to fill in their feedback forms, it suddenly struck me. What if all mental illness, or what looked like mental illness, loopy avant-garde theatre, mad performance art, as well as real mentally unstable people? What if any kind of lunacy becomes immediately associated with the brand? so that it automatically acts as an in-the-field trigger for everyday context brand content.
It's the whale!
Every visually apparent psychological disorder or non-sensible act becomes an embedded marketing event. Lunacy in itself will spread brand awareness, with no outlay involved. The marketing holy grail.
No, please don't go.
I heard you're an interesting case. Surely was a funny way to see America.
No, please don't go.
The privilege of art is that it is able to visit a place and return from it. The most desperate places are always more pleasurable
No, please don't go.
when we know that we can return home at any time.
Funny way to see America.
No, please don't go.
Surely was a funny way to see America.
No, please don't go.
But I just think that if this is high concept, why not go as high as we can go? Why not go out into orbit? You guys have told us that you're savvy to marketing campaigns, right? That you know all the tricks. So why shouldn't the campaign appeal to that? Why not reveal the marketing mechanisms, or appear to? Why not include the marketing strategy discussions and the focus group presentations in the ads themselves? This bold approach could feed into the transgressive profile of the US City Breaks product line itself. And the final cinema ad could even take the form of a focus group session, which would be disruptively structured. An extra long feature ad with temporalities mixed up. Characters, identities, disordered.
They thoughtfully ordered me a taxi to the station, which was a nice touch. It was quite an experience being in a focus group. I'm saying that I wouldn't do it again unless the fee was higher. And I did wonder about the release forms we signed and about the cameras recording everything. I may be wrong about this, I can get a bit paranoid at the end of a long day, but I had a sneaking suspicion that the focus group in the ads that she'd mentioned was going to be us. Or maybe that was just another deliberate provocation for us to chew over in our feedback forms. Whatever. I was looking forward to getting home.